One week, great way to start off the year. We thank everybody who gets up with us every single morning. Here's a good question.
Yes.
Here we go. Which quarterback has the single game record for most passing yards in a playoff game that he won?
So, right, the thought process is this. Tom Brady has the single game record for passing yards in a playoff game with 505 against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, but he did not win that game.
Correct.
So what I remember from that night is whose record he broke. And the answer to that question is Bernie Kosar, but I don't know if Bernie Kosar won that game. I don't know that he didn't.
I know if he won that game.
I'm going to guess Bernie Kosar.
He beat the Jets in double overtime. That's exactly right. Bernie Kosar threw for 489 yards in a game. The Jets were ahead by 10 points in the fourth quarter. Mark Gastineau roughed the quarterback on a fourth down, and that's how they wound up coming back.
They had to do
and they
something.
beat us in overtime.
Couldn't stop him.
I remember that game fairly well and not happily. Anyway, good job by Graziano. Yeah.
Don't blame me for that. Hembo's the one who brought it up.
No, that is the legendary day that my father threw a pillow out a window, but that's a whole other story.
I would like to hear that.
We were on the phone making flights to Denver next week for the AFC Championship game, and instead, Bernie Kosar threw for all those yards in overtime, and they won. All right, 1-1 is the score. Let me do the green list. So here's what we did. Yesterday, I ranked the confidence picks, the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC that I had the most confidence in. Today, I will do the AFC. This is just related to the quarterbacks themselves, how confident I am they'll play well in the playoffs. And at number 5, I'm going with C.J. Stroud. His team isn't even in the playoffs yet, but I feel as good about him as I feel about practically any quarterback in the league, despite the fact that he's a rookie. In his playoff games, he has been brilliant, including against Georgia last year in the college football semifinal. C.J. Stroud will play big if his team gets there. At number 4, I will put Tua Tagovailoa. If I thought they were going to have home games, I might have put him a little higher. But I'm picking Buffalo to beat them, which means Tua will have to go on the road. But he's been spectacular. It's not just about the receivers. It's not just about the scheme. He's had a wonderful year, and I'm confident in him. At number 3, Josh Allen. Allen's postseason numbers are historically great. People pay a lot of attention to the bad game they played last year against Cincinnati at home, and they did. Prior to that, Josh Allen had numbers in the postseason about as good as any quarterback in the history of the NFL. I am confident that if the Bills make these playoffs and they fall somewhere, it will not be because Allen didn't have a big day. At number 2, Lamar Jackson, who is the presumptive MVP of the league, who is having one of the best seasons we've ever seen anybody have, who has passed every test, answered every question, whatever expression you want to use this season. He looks better, they look better, and they look clearly like they're on their way to the Super Bowl. In fact, any other year or in any other era, Lamar Jackson would have been number 1. But if Patrick Mahomes is playing, I think you still have to put him at number 1. He is the best, not yet the greatest, but the best quarterback I've ever seen. And while I do not have a lot of faith in Kansas City to make a deep run, I am confident we will not come in here and say it was Patrick Mahomes' fault that the Chiefs got knocked off. So that is my green list for today. I'm confident 5 Stroud, 4 Tua, 3 Josh Allen, 2 Lamar Jackson, and 1 Patrick Mahomes. Marcus Spears, your reaction.
Swap 1 and 2.
So you're going Lamar over Mahomes?
Yeah, I'm going to live in the now. I'm going to live in the now, and I'm going to live based on what I've seen. First of all, we've seen Lamar Jackson dominate one team where we thought was the best team, and it was a foregone conclusion in the San Francisco 49ers. And what they just did by dismantling and putting people to sleep in the last outing, Lamar Jackson, to me, is in an offense now that makes him right now the best quarterback in the NFL. And I think that has to come into play. We all know that if we having an overall conversation, you put him first and then you talk about everybody else. That's understood. But right now, when we going into these playoffs, the dude that I want is number 8 from Baltimore.
RC, any thoughts?
Yeah, first off, I agree with Marcus when you're talking about Lamar Jackson in this season under Todd Monken with those skill players. And I believe that Joe Flacco belongs on this list. When you see what Joe Flacco has done in Cleveland, the way that they play complementary football defensively, offensively, running the football, getting into play action pass, and also Joe Flacco playing absolute YOLO ball because he was sitting on his couch before getting here. I think he's a guy that could be at number 4 and someone you don't want to play in the playoffs if he gets hot, especially with the defense that could be suffocating. So to me, it's Lamar at 1, Joe Flacco at 4.
You look skeptical, Graziano, when he said that about Flacco.
I am. I think the YOLO ball in the playoffs is a little bit dangerous, and we're talking about confidence, right? Like we're talking about who we feel the best about. There is no bigger Lamar Jackson fan since he played in college than me. I love him. I want him to be a Super Bowl champion. I watched this man sprain his ankle in a playoff game against a good Jacksonville Jaguars team, win that game, play a week later, win that game, and play 2 weeks later and win the Super Bowl. It's going to take an awful lot to knock him out of that top spot for me.
An interesting point that was made also on our radio. Yeah, no, Mahomes.
Who that awful lot is?
Mahomes gets the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. Hembo actually made an interesting point on our show this week that maybe what Lamar Jackson is doing and has done has been under-evaluated or underappreciated. If he leads that team to a Super Bowl, then we're going to have to start talking about this era being the Mahomes and Lamar Jackson era, right? Does that seem right?
No question about it. And the part about what Graz just said, Lamar Jackson's healthy and he's getting 3 weeks off. This week, the bye week, it's going to be 3 weeks until he plays. So he hasn't been this healthy going to the playoffs in a number of years.
I'm telling you, man, I've made this statement before. Had it not been for Patrick Mahomes, this is the scariest dude been at that position since he's been in the league. And think about this. This is what me and RC is saying right now. We've never seen this iteration of Lamar Jackson.
That's true.
And the fact that we seeing this take hold in the first year of this iteration means he could have been that years ago.
I get that. But what Graziano and I are saying is we have seen that guy. we've seen that guy. And until proven otherwise, he's going number one on my list. We're always interested in yours. Meanwhile,